Good evening, friends. Let us do these problems. These are really interesting problems which are coming in PO exams of various banks. Right. We need to be little careful in these kinds of problems. Read the English statements correctly and be able to draw the correct Venn diagrams. All buildings are houses. These are buildings. All of the buildings are houses. These are houses. Now, house is an apartment. So, apartment will be separated. All apartments are flats. Very good. These are all flats. Now, the flats, they can be like this also. This entire diagram, they can be like this also. They can be like this also, right? Flats. We don't know because we can draw this diagram also, right? Buildings, houses, apartments, and flats. Something like this. Nothing is stopping because let's look at this diagram and look at these conditions. All buildings are houses. Yes, all buildings are houses. No house is an apartment. No house is an apartment. All apartments are flats. All three conditions are satisfied. We can draw this diagram also. Basically, we can draw this flats for the entire set or some part of buildings or some part of the houses also. We can draw anything like this. Right? Nothing is stopping us. Now, no flat is a house. He's saying no flat is a house. Whatever you do, a flat cannot be a house. Whatever you do. But this is wrong because we can draw a diagram which doesn't violate any of these conditions and still can draw a diagram such that all houses are flats. Right? We can draw this diagram, right? No flat is a house is not always right because we can always draw the flats in such a way that some part of the houses are can come inside flats. Right, we can draw this diagram also. We can draw this diagram also. We can draw even the bigger diagram, right? Like this. Right. In all the three cases, some houses can be flats or some flats can be houses. So this is wrong. No building is an apartment. Yes. Building and an apartment, they cannot be any intersection because buildings are houses and this house and apartment, there cannot be any intersection. So naturally, building which is inside house cannot have any intersection with apartment. So this statement is correct. Next one. All buildings being flats is a possibility. All buildings being flats. Yes, we can draw this diagram. Again, the question is about possibility. If it is possibility means even if there is one case, if there is a possibility of drawing this kind of diagram, then it is sufficient. Right? All buildings being flats is a possibility. We have drawn this diagram. This diagram is not violating these conditions. In this diagram, buildings being flats is happening. All buildings being flats. So this possibility diagram, we can say it is true only. All apartments being buildings is a possibility. No way, right? Apartments and buildings, there is zero intersection, right? Apartments and houses, there is no intersection. Obviously, apartments and buildings also, there will not be any intersection. All apartments being buildings. Forget about all apartments. Even a single apartment cannot become a building, right? So this is wrong. So we need to be able to draw diagrams, the variations of diagrams with the given conditions. Right, that is the trick here. Some oceans are seas. Very good. That means these are oceans. These are seas. Some are seas. Some are seas means some are not seas. Some are seas. All oceans are rivers. Very good. All oceans are rivers. All oceans are rivers. No river is canal. Right. So this is canal. Canal and river, there is no intersection. But canal and sea, there can be some intersection. Right? There's nothing that is stopping us. We can draw canal like this also. Or I will draw something like this. I'll draw it better. Some motions are seas. This is seas. Canals. We can draw canals like this. Or we can draw canals like this also. Right? Canal can have some intersection with sea. Nothing is stopping us. All rivers can never be oceans. See carefully. The question that is given is all oceans are rivers. All oceans are rivers. All rivers can never be oceans. What he's saying, whatever you do, oceans and rivers, right? All rivers can never be oceans, right? So he's saying there is never a possibility where each and every river will become an ocean. So if we draw like this, if we draw like this, where, okay, now let's try to counter counter argue this argument, right? Let's try to prove the opposite. This is oceans. Let's try to draw a diagram which is opposite of this. Again, this is the same circle. Same circle. Basically, oceans equal to rivers which we are trying to draw. The same circle which is oceans, all oceans are rivers, let's say. We are doing this. Okay? All oceans are rivers, all rivers are also oceans. Right? And some oceans are seas. These are seas. And so no river is a canal. So this is canal. If we draw this diagram, where oceans is equal to rivers. All oceans are rivers, all rivers are oceans. This is the diagram we are trying to draw. Let's see if this diagram fits these conditions also. Some oceans are seas. Yes, some oceans are seas. All oceans are rivers. Yes, all oceans are rivers. Right. All oceans. Let's say there are 10 oceans. All 10 oceans are rivers. All 10 rivers are these oceans only. This is what we are trying to use. No river is a canal. No river is a canal. So in this case, we can actually make it happen that all rivers can become oceans, right? If there are 10 oceans and all 10 oceans are rivers, and there are only 10 rivers, that means all 10 rivers are oceans also. Right. All rivers can never be oceans. This statement is wrong because there is a possibility if number of oceans is equal to number of rivers and all oceans are rivers, then that means all rivers can also become oceans. Right. So this kind of can never statement will not work. There is a possibility that all rivers can also be oceans. So this is wrong. All canals being oceans is a possibility. Right. Right. So canals and rivers will not intersect, right? All canals being oceans is a possibility. He's saying there can be some intersection between canal and ocean, but there is no way because canal can intersect with sea, right? Canal cannot intersect with river, right? If canal cannot intersect with river, there is no way canal can have an intersection with oceans, right? O is always subset of r. O can be equal to r also. Here in this case also canal can come here, can take some part of sea, but it can never take a part of ocean, which can never take a part of river. That means it can never take a part of ocean. Definitely, all canals being oceans is not a possible. Is a possibility? No way. Forget about all canals. Even a single canal cannot become an ocean. Forget about all canals. Even a single canal cannot become an ocean. Right? No ocean is a canal, of course, right? Because ocean is a subset of rivers, and no river is a canal. There is no intersection between river and canal. So obviously, a ocean can never become a canal, right? There's not even a single ocean which is a canal, which is what this statement is saying, which is true. There is never a ocean that can become a canal. At least some seas are rivers, right? So he's saying whatever you do, there will always be some seas which are rivers. You cannot make rivers independent of seas. This is what he's saying. Whatever you do, there will always be something common, right? But which is actually true only, right? Because some oceans are always seas. Right, some oceans are always so some part of oceans are always seas, and now oceans are always subset of rivers. Right. So that means the part of the oceans which are becoming seas will always be rivers also. Right. So this part, some part which is common between oceans and seas, this part will always stay within rivers only. So at least some seas, this part which is seas also, which is oceans also, which are this and this is rivers also. There will always be some seas which are oceans, which are rivers. Right. So this is true. Next. No day is night. So day is this, no intersection. Night is this. Okay. All nights are noon. I will call it NI. All nights are noons. These are noons. No, right. So noons, there is nothing that is stopping. Noon can become like this. Noon can become like this also. Right. No, noon is an evening. Right. There's no intersection between noon and evening. Evening can be here. In fact, evening can take some part of day also. Right. Nothing is stopping. Evening can take some part of day or all part of the day also. Right. Nothing is stopping. This is evening. We can draw diagram in any way that we want. Depending on the situation, we'll draw the diagram. Right. No day is known. No day is known. He's saying whatever you do, a day cannot become a noon. Right. A day cannot become a night. That is the given condition. But a day can become a noon, right? Noon, there is nothing that is stopping noon from noon becoming days. Right. So we have just done this diagrams, right? We have just done this diagram. This is day, this is night, and this is noon. This is noon, and this is evening. Let's say if we draw this diagram, no day is night. Yes, no day is night. All nights are noon. All nights are noon. No noon is evening. No noon is evening. In this case, no day is noon, which is not possible, right? We are able to draw this diagram where all days are noons actually. Right. In this diagram, all days are noons. Forget about not even a single day. All days are, we can even in fact draw a diagram. There is a possibility that all days can also become noons. So this statement is wrong. No day is an evening. He is saying this. But again, this is nothing that is stopping. We can draw the same diagram. Right. We can draw a different diagram. Let's try to draw a different diagram now. So this we call it noon. Right. And in fact, we can draw this entire thing as evening also. Right. No day is evening. So this diagram also we can draw. No day is night. No day is actually night. All nights are noon. All nights are noon. No noon is evening. No noon is evening. So you can in fact draw a diagram where all days can become evenings. Right. So no day is an evening. Forget about no day. Even we can in fact draw. There's a possibility that all days can also become evenings. So this statement is wrong. Right. No evenings or nights. Yes. No evenings or nights. Right. Because an evening cannot become a noon and night is a subset of noon. So obviously there cannot be any intersection between evening and noon. That means there can be no intersection between evening and night also. No evenings or nights. This is correct. Next. All days being noon is a possibility. Yes, we had drawn this diagram, right? All days being noon. Earlier we had drawn the diagram. Right, this is day, this is night, and this is noon, and this is evening. We had drawn this diagram earlier also. So this possibility is certainly there. All days being noon is definitely a possibility. Right. So this is true. Next. Some papers are boards. Some papers are boards. These are papers. These are boards. No board is card. No board is card. So that means card is right. Card can be here also. Card can extend here also. Right. Can extend here also. Right. We can draw like this also, card like this also, or card which can eat some part of paper also. Nothing is stopping. All cards being paper is a possibility. Is a possibility means we just need to draw this diagram. All cards being paper. So let's try to draw the diagram. This is papers. This is cards, and this is boards. Right. We can draw this diagram, right? This diagram. It is certainly possible because let's look at this diagram and the given condition. Some papers are boards. Yes, some papers are definitely boards. And no board is a card. This no nothing none of these boards is there is any intersection with cards. So this diagram is definitely possible. So all cards being papers is definitely a possibility. All boards being papers is a possibility, is what he's saying. He's saying no, let's try to draw that diagram now. What he's saying, these are boards and these are papers, right? and some papers are card and no board is card. Okay, some card like this, right? All boards being papers is a possibility. He's saying this. Is it possible? Yes. Let's look at this diagram and given condition. Some papers are boards. Yes, some papers are boards. No board is a card. No board is a card. So this is definitely possible, right? Some papers are boards, right? So here in this case, so he's look at this condition. If the condition is not some boards are papers, there's a difference between some boards are papers versus some papers are boards. Some papers are boards means papers can be the bigger set and boards can be a subset also, right? It doesn't mean that there will always be some boards which are not papers. This only means there will always be some papers which are not boards. Some papers are boards means that there will always be some papers which are not boards. It can mean that all boards can become papers, right? It is not the opposite. Some papers are boards means doesn't mean some boards are papers, right? There can always be some papers which are not boards, right? So what does this mean? Entire boards can become subset of papers also. So all boards being papers is definitely a possibility, right? Cool. So that's why this is very important. It is very important in these kind of questions to understand and to read the English sentences very carefully. Then only we'll be able to make the right judgment. If you are not clear in reading the English statement correctly, we'll not be able to make the right diagram. Then we'll make the wrong judgment. Right. Hope you understood this, guys. Any doubts? Please message. We'll take this up again. Thank you. Bye bye.